Hi, it's Dr. Lori. This is Real Bargains. That's right. This is where people who are just like you are finding great objects at thrift stores, yard sales, antique malls, all over. And I want to share some of these stories with you. So everybody's given me permission to retell these stories, and let's get started. The first real bargain comes from my class, the Dr. Lori private class that you can participate into. This actual real bargain came from the Salvation Army thrift store. So the store was closing. The person who bought this piece, which is an Hermes scarf, she was at my class and she said, you know, Dr. Lori, I was at the store. My son needed shoes. I went to the thrift store to see what I could find, and they were closing the store. And the deal was that I could have a bag for $5. I could fill a bag for $5. So I got a lot of bags. I didn't really have a lot of money, but I got a lot of bags because I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to, take advantage of the fact that the store was closing. Okay. I said, all right. So what did you get? So she said, well, I make wall art using scarves. So when I saw scarves at the Salvation Army, I took all of them. I put them in a bag. I filled a bag for $5 with scarves, just scarves. Well, once she got home, she looks through this bag of scarves and she picks out two that she considered fancy. She said, and I want you to appraise the scarf for me during this class. I said, okay, well, I'll look at it. So you paid less than $5 for this really beautiful silk Hermes, made in Paris, scarf. Obviously marked, very well known, and it is a vintage piece that is characteristic of course, Hermes in the earlier time period. So she had this great piece, really impressive, and it relates to maps of the 18th and 19th century. This particular scarf was based on a map from the 17th and 18th centuries. It was a beautiful example, and it really was quite stylish. Okay, in great condition, which is always important. So she tells me the story. I appraise her piece. She paid less than $5 for it. And she said, you know, Dr. Lori, this is a pretty interesting piece in a lot of ways, but I've never sold online before. I have some trepidation about that. So she paid less than $5 because she had a lot of scarves in the bag, right? And that scarf, I was able to tell her that one scarf was worth $1,000. That's right, the vintage Hermes scarf, silk, was worth $1,000. So she said to me, she said, Dr. Lori, I don't have a lot of experience doing this. This would be my first online sale. Do you think I can do this? I said, you definitely can do this. All of you can do this. You have to watch what I tell you. You have to watch the videos. Find the objects that I tell you are worth more money, which a lot of you are doing. Find the good pieces, identify the quality, buy it, and reflip it. You can do this. I'm teaching you how. Anyway, so she says to me, she says, you know what? I'm going to try this. It'll be my first online sale. Well, she gets back to me and she tells me what happened. What happened to her during her first online sale is it sold. Her scarf sold for $1,096. She said, it helped me pay my rent, it helped me with medical bills that I had for my family, and it helped me after I had to close my business. She said, this was amazing for me. Thank you so much, Dr. Lori. And I was so happy to help her. I'm happy to help all of you. That was a real bargain and a wonderful example of what you can find at the thrift store. This next real bargain comes from a video call. And the video caller here had done a lot of research on this tankard. This is a pint-sized tankard. So it's kind of like a stein, if you think of it that way, but it is silver. And the hallmarks on it are how she was able to identify and do some research about the actual piece. So we're on a video call and she says, Dr. Lori, I found out a lot about Benjamin Binkerton, who is the person who made this particular tankard in 1762. So it's an 18th century tankard, way, way far back. It had hallmarks, and in reading the hallmarks and identifying the hallmarks, we were able to, of course, provide a lot of information, some information that the video caller already had. Okay, so the hallmarks indicate that it's sterling silver, and it shows a maker's mark and a date stamp. This is how we know it's Benjamin Binkerton. This is how we know that it's from 1762. This is how we know it's sterling silver. So the tankard is beautifully decorated. It's decorated on the body. It's decorated also where your thumb would go as you're drinking on the handle, right? It's decorated and it's hand chased and decorated. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous piece of 18th century sterling silver work, okay? So I said, so you got it where? She said, the Goodwill. I got it at the Goodwill. And I said, all right, well, at the Goodwill, what did they charge you for this piece of sterling silver? That you could just say, hey, it's sterling silver, it's going to be worth money. But all right. She paid $1.99 for this piece. And this piece was worth, I was able to appraise it for her, at $650. Here's the kicker. All of you will say to me, Dr. Lori, you have to find somebody who can buy it for that much. You have to find a willing buyer. You know, it's only worth what somebody will actually pay. Well, here's what they paid. Her piece also sold. Her piece sold online based on my appraisal. And she said, she wrote back to me and she said, you know, Dr. Lori, I got some offers early, but they were a little bit low. You told me to list the item, be careful and be specific in your photographs. Tell them everything about the tankard, if there's anything wrong with it, if there's a dent, if there's a little bit of an inclusion or an abrasion, some scratches. Show them everything. Show the potential buyers everything. And then actually she said, you know what? It's sold. I sold it. I got some offers that I didn't like and I held out, Dr. Lori, because you told me to hold out and wait. She waited, and patience is a virtue, because she sold her tankard for exactly what I appraised it at, $650. Yep, that's a real bargain too. You can do this. My next real bargain comes from a video call, and this video caller had gone to an estate sale. She was really fun when she was talking with me on the video call, because she said, Dr. Lori, I didn't know what these were, but I walked into this estate sale and there were all of these dolls in this estate sale. So many dolls, so much stuff, trunks and trunks of dolls, doll furniture, doll pieces. So I looked at these dolls and they were so cute and so small and so precious that I said, well, I'm not going to leave them here. So I went around the estate sale and I purchased a lot of items in this sort of doll arena, right? They're in the doll category, if you will. She said, these dolls I really liked. They're 7 inches tall. And she said, but I'm unsure of how much they're really worth. I see a lot of different numbers online. I see, you know, they're selling really, really high. They're selling really, really low. They look the same to me. I don't really know. Okay. So I said, well, first of all, what you have is you have a Baby Bokake doll. And then you have another doll that's a boy and another doll that's a girl. They all date to the early years of the 20th century, the early 1900s. They're about 7 inches tall. They're hand painted. They have glass eyes. They have molded hair or molded heads. They have accentuated cheeks, which is one of the characteristics of a Baby Bokake doll. They have jointed limbs, right? And they actually are really quite beautifully done. And some of them, a few of them, even have their original clothing. So she said, I got a lot of stuff and I paid for these 3 dolls I really thought were pretty special. I paid $5 for all 3 of them. I said, with the clothes? She said, yes. So the Baby Bokake doll, which is shown here in this blue and white outfit, is very characteristic of those dolls. So if you see these dolls, here's what I want you to look for. I want you to look for a hand-painted face. I want you to look for, of course, the glass eyes. I want you to look for big cheeks, because these dolls are known for their big cheeks and their very realistic look. Early 20th century dolls. She paid $5 for 3 of them. They're a real bargain. What are they worth? $1,200 for 3 dolls. That's right. They resell at $1,200 based on actual sales records where similar pieces have sold. That's a real bargain too. Beautiful pieces, of course, of porcelain and gorgeous dolls. You can find them. They're out there. This next real bargain comes from a Priority Ask Dr. Lori service member. That's our subscription service where you, of course, can send in photos and I will get back to you on email. I will get back to you on email and tell you about your pieces, what they're worth, and other information. Interestingly enough, this Priority member sent in one of many pieces of jewelry that she sent in by photographs. And I said, all right, I'm looking at this piece and I'm thinking, gosh, this is a really nice piece. Haven't really seen this in a long time. So I said, how did you acquire this? I wrote back to her as I'm giving her the appraisal on the email. And I said, how'd you acquire this? She said, I got it at a thrift store, Dr. Lori. And I wanted to know whether or not you thought it was the real thing. Why? Well, it's marked Tiffany. It's marked Elsa Peretti, who's the great Tiffany designer. Many of you know. She's very well known for those kidney bean earrings and the starfish pins and such. Interestingly enough, this particular piece is a sterling silver braided cuff bracelet, right? So it's braided, it's a cuff bracelet. It's marked Tiffany & Co., Tiffany & Company. It's marked 925, sterling silver, and it's marked with the signature, of course, of the designer Elsa Peretti. So all of the marks were legitimate. All of the marks, in fact, were beautiful, and the piece is very indicative of a style that we typically see in the 1970s and 80s. And many of you might remember it from that time period of the preppy handbook, or the country club set, if you will, when folks would wear these braided bracelets of sort of a rope, and it was sort of white. Very, very popular. You know, I remember them myself in the 70s and 80s as a swimmer, because oftentimes they would be something that the swim team folks, we would all wear them as sort of, you know, the idea of being part of a team. This is a production of that form, that style, only it's in sterling silver. It's a beautiful Tiffany piece. It's made of very high quality, of course, and it's a great design. The design very indicative of the late 1900s. She paid $12. That's right. At the thrift store, she paid $12 for it. It's worth $500. That's right. $500 for $12 investment, and the Tiffany name too. That's a real bargain. Brands are always what you want to look for. Sterling silver, you want to look for weight, and you want to look for the marks. I talked to you about the marks on many of my videos. This next real bargain comes from a video call as well. So this video caller was a video caller who said, Dr. Lori, I've got this table. I found this table on an online auction. I'm moving. I don't know if I should take this table with me. So I figured during our video call, I'll ask you if you think I should take this table with me. So I said, let's take a good look at this table. Let's look at those nice curved legs. Let's look at those claw and ball feet. Let's take a look, of course, at the drawers. Let's take a look at some of the carved decoration all the way around the surface edge. And of course, the size of the table is going to be important as well. The style is quintessentially Thomas Chippendale. It's a Chippendale table. It's a library table. These big tables, about 60 inches long is what this table is. These big tables are oftentimes library tables. Think about when you're in a library, you've got books over here and maybe a notebook and some pens and a purse or maybe a portfolio or your briefcase, a lot of stuff that you need. So library tables are usually quite large. This one is English. This one is not American. It's an English library table in the Chippendale style. It dates to 1825. That's right, it's pretty darn old. 1825 in gorgeous condition. Where did she get it? She got it in an online auction. And basically she made an offer on the online auction, and the folks took it. They said, all right, we want to get rid of it. So she gets it. She pays $175 for it. Now maybe you're thinking, wow, that might be a lot of money for a table, right? In fact, because she was moving was the only reason that she even thought about getting an appraisal. She said, I'd keep it because I could use it if I wasn't moving, but I really figured if I'm moving, I need to get it appraised to make sure that it's worth me moving it to my next home. It certainly was worth her moving it to her next home. What's it worth? $1,250. That was a real bargain too for $175, and a gorgeous piece, of course, of English furniture in the Chippendale style. It's a beauty. This next real bargain comes from a video call, and this video caller went to the Salvation Army thrift store. Now, a lot of you are thrifting, and a lot of you are buying costume jewelry, and then you're reselling costume jewelry. I always say it's a good investment for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's usually inexpensive to source or to buy. Oftentimes, you can identify it with my help. Oftentimes, you will find sets together, bracelets, necklaces, earrings together. Oftentimes, they're not broken up. So you can actually get more out of it by buying the set together. And in thrift stores, they oftentimes are available. The other thing about costume jewelry is it's easy to resell and it's easy to ship. So you have an easy shipping situation, and that's important for my resellers because you're working hard out there. I know you are. So she's at the Salvation Army, and she said, I see these three pieces of costume jewelry, the earrings and the matching necklace on the chain. So the pendant matches the earrings. And she said, I knew that they'd be a good idea to buy them because I didn't have any information about the maker, but I did know that because they're marked, they're probably going to be valuable. And she was exactly right. They're marked by the Paris firm, of course, of P&M. They're very clearly marked P and M with the ampersand Paris. They date, of course, to the 1970s or so. And they, in fact, are really good examples of their gold plating. P&M is known for gold-plated earrings and necklaces and bracelets in the costume jewelry arena. So this pair of earrings and also the necklace with the pendant come from the 1970s into the early 1980s, and it's a rose form that's been gold-plated on a chain with the matching clip-on earrings. Now, what's nice about this is that this particular set is not too overwhelming. It's not a big statement necklace, no, although those are quite nice. But it actually is a necklace that can be worn a lot of the time. So a lot of people, when they're reselling it, my resellers tell me, you know what, Dr. Lori, those are a little bit easier to sell than the big statement necklaces. Okay. This particular piece, I said, so how much did you pay at the Salvation Army? Was it sitting in one of the cases? She said, yes, it was sitting in a case. I paid $8 for the whole set. That's right. So that's $4 for the pair of earrings and $4 for the necklace with the pendant. $8 is a real bargain any way you slice it for earrings and a necklace matching set, especially a marked costume jewelry set like this one. What's it worth? $450. That's a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from a video call, and I always like to tell you what to look for. I like you to have an understanding of what do I look for in sculpture or in furniture or in dolls or in silver tankards or whatever it might be. So this real bargain comes from a video call, and it was from an online auction. I was shocked at what the online auction allowed her, the small amount allowed her to pay for this particular piece. This piece, as you can see, is a skier, and it's a sculpture. It's a work of fine art. It's a beautiful piece. It's very well executed. This piece is signed. This piece is cast solid bronze. This piece has a marble base. This piece is also numbered. It's a limited edition. I mean, it ticks off all of the boxes when you're looking for sculpture. First of all, bronze. You want to have a cast bronze piece rather than constructed metal, or rather than a base metal, an inexpensive metal. You want a piece, of course, of cast bronze if you can get it. Why? Value's higher. Okay. It's numbered. It's number 22 of 2,500. Right? So there's a limited edition of them. They made 2,500 of these because they knew they could sell that many. And this is number 22. Very, very at the beginning of the run, if you will, of the edition. If you're at the beginning of the edition, that's always better than being a high number in the edition. So this is fantastic right off the bat. It's signed. It's signed Nick, which is a very well-known artist whose sculpting works in this style. He does many different, of course, figures of sports figures, basically. Figures who are baseball players or hockey players or, of course, skiers like this. What I like about this piece, rather than when you compare it to other cast bronze sculptures or when you compare it to sculptures by other artists, this piece has a lot of drama, a lot of dynamism, a lot of movement. You can see it. It almost is as if you are on that mogul with this skier, as if you're on that hill coming down the hill. The movement in, of course, the snow at the bottom of the sculpture, the movement in the shoulders and the arms of the skier, and even the way in which the head is tilted a little bit. I like this piece very well, and this piece sells very high. So I said, so you found that it was signed, you found that it was numbered, you saw it was a limited edition, it's made of cast bronze, it's on a marble base. What did you pay at the online auction? She said, I paid $28 for that piece, Dr. Lori. I said, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And it was amazing. It's a wonderful sculpture. Here's how amazing it is. Fine art will always hold its value. This piece is worth $5,500. That's a real bargain too. I'm Dr. Lori. I'm here to show you what to look for and to tell you about your real bargains. I hope you find your real bargain real soon.